Hello, Jerry here with Season 5, Episode 41 of Ask Jerry Tachoir. Once again, if you would like to ask me a question, there's two ways of doing it. You could respond to this section in YouTube right at the bottom. Just type in your question there and it'll get to me. Or the better way is to go to my website, which is www.tachoir.com, and that's spelled Tachoir.com. In the upper right-hand corner is a little Contacts tab. Click on that, it'll pop up, get to enter your name and some information and ask your question, and hopefully, we'll do one of these videos. Today's question comes from June in Taiwan. Hi, Jerry. Thanks for your many informative videos. They have been so helpful and inspirational. I'm having problems reading music and hitting the correct notes on the keyboard. I also find, even though I only play a 3-octave vibe, that I have a hard time seeing the whole instrument and hit frequent wrong notes, especially on the extremes of the instrument, high and low. Any suggestions would be very appreciated and welcome. Thank you. Continue, June from Taiwan. June, this is a great question and one that a lot of people deal with. You're not alone in this. Mallet instruments in general are one of the very few instruments other than the rest of the percussion family, but we don't actually touch this instrument. We have these, extendos, I call them extendo fingers. Basically, 10, 12-inch extensions. So we don't really get to touch the instrument like a piano player or sax player or guitar player. So our ability to play our instrument amounts to we have to be precise in our aiming of the bar and hitting the bar. Now, regarding reading music, I have been very fortunate in that for some reason reading music came very simple to me. It just made sense. I look at the grand staff and I could read music, and I didn't really have to work that hard at it. I'm very lucky at that respect. But at the same time, I totally know what you mean about trying to see what you see on the music and then putting it accurately on your vibraphone, and it can be a challenge. When I was playing in the orchestras in Pittsburgh, I remember one of the conductors, he says, I want you to raise your stand high enough that I can see your eyes. He wanted to see my eyes as I'm looking at the music, and he's conducting to give me the cues that I needed. So I raised my stand way up here, way up high. And what I realized real quickly, and you probably encountered this too, so you're reading the music, which is, again, it's way up here. You see the notes, you're reading the music, but then at one point, you've got to look down at your keyboard to find out where those notes are and where your mallets are in reference to those notes, and then play the notes. So you look down, you play the notes, and then I remember so many times looking up again, and immediately I'm like, oh, where am I? Where am I? I'm lost. I can't find my place. And this is happening over and over and over again, and I started getting frustrated with the going back and forth from the high reading here to down here and looking up and down and just kind of not being able to find where I'm at. And it got really, I got pretty good at it, trying to memorize the spot on the music so that when I would look down, I could look up, I could find it pretty quickly, but it still is a challenge. So when I was at Berklee College of Music, a friend of mine, a fellow vibes player who is not with us any longer, Dave Samuels, showed me a little thing that, like, I mean, it's so obvious, but I didn't even think of it because of what this conductor told me. I want to see I want to see your eyes. Put your stand up high. But he gave me a little thing, and let me bring in a music stand. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So David's thing, and again, this totally made sense. He said, put your music stand at the same plane as your keyboard. In other words, if you have it up here, again, that thing of going back and forth between reading this and looking at this, it turns crazy and you can't find your place. But if you're looking down here at your music, then your peripheral vision allows you to pretty much see your whole keyboard while your eyes are on the music. So you're looking at the music and you can keep playing, and you don't have to do that up and down thing where you get lost and you look down at your keyboard and you play, and then you look up at the music again. So if you keep it somewhat at the same plane, right down here low, it just makes a lot of sense. A lot of players and a lot of my students too that I've seen, and I've tried to correct them on this, when they're reading music, obviously they want to get as close to the music physically as they can so that they can see it really well and to be able to get all the notes correctly and then put it on their instrument. So when they do this, they move forward. And when you move forward, you're crowding the instrument. I've seen students that are actually touching the bars with their abdomen, and that's not a good thing to do. So when you do that, as you get closer to the instrument, you'll notice that you can't see the ends of the instrument. Your peripheral vision is limited because you're too close. However, if you take a little step back, I don't know, 6, 8 inches, something like that, and it doesn't really make that much difference between where you are in reference to the music, but it opens up the keyboard, and all of a sudden, now you're seeing the whole keyboard. So my advice to you is 2 things. Lower your music stand, and if you have a conductor like the one that I had that said, I want to see your eyes, tell him, say, look, you come back here and you try to play this instrument when you're doing that visual thing of up and down. It's impossible. And he said, I have to have it at the same plane. And then stand back, and all of a sudden, boom, the keyboard opens up to you, and it just makes sense, and you can use all 4 mallets to manipulate and play your music and read really well without having to get lost and get confused. Again, reading music on any mallet instrument is somewhat of a challenge, and again, we don't touch this instrument, so everything is like shooting bullseyes. You have to hit the center of the bars, you have to hit the bar accurately, and there's going to be times where you might hit a wrong note. You might just go for it and just missed it by that much, and you make those adjustments. Your ear tells you, oh, that's not right, and you make the adjustment. I need to reach a little further, I need to reach a little less, and be sensitive to that. So really, that's all I have to offer is those two things. Just lowering your music stand to the same plane as your bars and standing back of your instrument enough that you have a complete reference visually using your peripheral vision to see the whole instrument. And that'll help you a lot. So I wish you the best, June. Thank you for your question. It was a really good one, and I appreciate it. And again, please, everybody, if you would subscribe to my channel, it helps out a lot. And also ask me some questions. I'm looking forward to another bunch of these videos for season 5. So stick with us. Thanks again. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.